What's happening, YouTube? I know it's been a bit since I've uploaded a video. It's just been a little bit tough since I had my procedure done, but I promise you guys I'm working on getting a little bit more consistent. One thing that I did want to share with you today that I actually recently posted to the Yugioh subreddit. It's just titled Yugioh. I don't want to say it's official, but it's like probably the biggest subreddit for Yu-Gi-Oh on Reddit. And I got some good feedback about this, and I'm hoping I'll get some good feedback on here too. But I wanted to share with you guys my custom-made dual disc. Somebody on the subreddit actually made a post a few days ago talking about how they wish that Konami would release more dual disc models, kind of like they did for the original DM, GX, which might not have actually made it to America. And then they also did a 5Ds release, I believe, of Yusei's dual disc, but and there's the Doma one too, the Orichalcos dual disc, which honestly is a really, really cool piece of merchandise, but they haven't really branched out. There have been a lot of different dual discs in the show. I know that for a lot of the later series, they're kind of impossible to make. Well, maybe not impossible, but they have like energy for the disc, for the arm of the, where all the cards go, for the arm of the dual disc, as I call it, or like the main body itself maybe is like super compact, which doesn't work too well when designing dual discs, and I'll explain why in a minute here when I kind of show you guys mine. I know that it's not really easy to play the game with a dual disc, but that's not the point of the dual disc in real life, okay? The point of these things is for drip, it's for aura farming, and that's the entire purpose of a dual disc. So the one that I made right here, I based it on the Lightray series of monsters. And let me draw a card from my deck here and see what we got. Yeah, so this is actually a custom card for Infernal Flame Emperor. This is a custom card that I designed and that I ordered. And the whole motif of this dual disc is based around the Lightray series of monsters. They have white coloring, light blue coloring, gold coloring as well. And some of them do also have like sort of red jewels on them. Lightray Gearfried for sure does. Lightray Greffer does as well. And that's kind of like the sort of like energy that I was going for with this thing. You can see that it has a lot of white, a lot of gold. Another one I'm really proud of. I made a Lightray Exod. But anyways, this dual disc, it does actually support cards being placed into the disc. You can see down here that I have spell and trap card zones that you can slide cards into even with the protective sleeve. They do fit in there. The way I did that was actually by you can't really tell from here, but I attached the bottom of the disc separately. I printed it as a separate piece. You can kind of see there's a little bit of a break in the middle there because it was two separate pieces, but yeah, fully supports cards. You can even place them in defense position if you'd like. Monsters can go and attack as well. And then it doesn't have an extra monster zone, but I don't use an extra deck with my Lightray deck because they don't have any extra deck monsters. And then also we've got a field spell zone over here. I know that Exod is not a field spell, but I'm just showing you guys the cards fitting in. And then it's got a hole in the back to pop it out. Over here we have the RFG, the Banish zone. That also has a slot on the bottom so you can pop cards out. And then of course we have the main deck over here where you can just simply draw cards out from. And then finally, the graveyard slot back here as well. Other than that, I did add a couple cool things to the design. Back here, you can see that there is a button, and yes, that is glowing. When you press that button, the dual disc is going to light up. I have 5 blue LEDs across the monster zones. They're kind of creating a glare in the camera. Let's see if I can remove that in post. But then also along the bottom, we have, whoop, there you go, now you can kind of see it better. I have 6 white LEDs going across there as well, and then an LED display, or an LCD display screen in the front. I didn't ever get around to programming it to display 8,000 life points. Not very good at coding, and it's something that I might try at a later date, but I think for right now, like especially because I'm not dueling with it, just having that there as kind of like a display light point counter is really cool. It does fit onto my arm. I'm going to put it on right now so I can kind of show you guys. And yeah, I mean, the reason I said earlier about the, for the you know, animes that have like a really small dual disc that fits over the arm. Honestly, I don't see it. Between a graveyard slot, a remove from play slot, and a deck slot, there's just not any way, in my opinion, to compact something like that. I probably could have made this dual disc a little bit smaller as well, but, you know, installing the lights and the screen kind of took up some space, so maybe they could find a way that way to make it a little bit smaller. But yeah, I think honestly that would be a bit of a tall task. So I'm going to shut the lights off here just so that way you guys can kind of get a better look at what's going on. So you can see down here, I do have the 3D printed sort of gold band. I attached some clips on it on the ends that it straps in. And then I have the handle because honestly, this thing's really heavy. I remember when I wore it at a convention, I did get kind of tired carrying it around. People weren't super nice either. Like, I got this big old dual disc on my arm and people are just bumping into me left and right. Like, I think it got snagged on somebody's costume and I'm sitting there trying to like pull everything in and like, you know, avoid people, and they just did not really care that much. I keep it balanced, the handle is necessary. Although honestly, I think it adds like a really cool sort of motif to the disc. I think it's a nice sort of aesthetic look. I think Konami would have to do some tweaking if they were to design smaller dual discs. I probably could have made this whole thing lighter if I did less of an infill on the print, so that way there's less plastic in between. But there are some screws in the bottom holding the bottom of the disc together. You can see it there, and you can't see, but there are obviously screws in the arm strap as well to hold that together too. So that's why I had to do a little bit more of an infill with the disc, just so that way the screws would have something to lock onto. But I think that if Konami were to make a dual disc, if they were to, you know, do more dual discs like the DM1, the Doma 1, the GX1, the plastic is a little bit different. They could probably do a little bit lighter plastic as well. And I think in general that would really reduce the weight of the disc and make it a little bit less unwieldy. But it is something that I'm kind of getting back into. It's something that I want to make more of. So I'm going to see if I can kind of upgrade the design a little bit. This dual disc specifically took me about 4 years to make, which is a long time. But a lot of that was trial and error. A lot of that was making mistakes. I did actually have an original print before this that I had to start over with because I was just making too many modifications and it wasn't getting anywhere. It wasn't getting any closer to being finished. I was like, okay, I have to go back to the drawing board. I have to redesign some things. I have to reprint some things. So I do think I'm going to do some video uploads of some of my other dual discs that I want to work on and that I'm building in Tinkercad. Hopefully I can get a little bit of feedback from you guys. And if you guys have any ideas for dual discs you'd like to see, archetypes you think that would be cool, or dual discs that you enjoy from the show itself, please feel free to leave them in the comments below. Love to hear you guys' input. But yeah, I mean, it was a fun project. You know, it's worth the time I put into it. I think as a kid, we all kind of dreamed of, you know, having our own deck, having our own dual disc, like Judai with his E-Heroes, Kiryu with Infernities, Manjomi with his Ojama Arm Dragon VWXYZ deck. Just having your own theme, your own cards, I think is a really, really cool thing to get to have. So it was fun to build the dual disc. It was cool to have the custom cards. And definitely I think this is something that I'm going to put a little bit more time into developing because I do have now my Creality CR6 that you can see in the back there. It is a really big printing bed. It has a pretty good printing height. So it's easier to print bigger props like the dual disc, even though of course it's still probably going to have to be printed in pieces. You can print big enough pieces that I am going to put a couple more pictures in here, and I've learned a lot from my original attempt here, so I think that making other dual discs is going to be much easier than it was previously. I am going to put some pictures in this video of the cosplay that I did with my dual disc. That was a lot of fun too. I did have some help with the cloak, although I did a lot of it myself, and just having the custom cards, having the cloak, the hair gel, you know, the custom dual disc, it was super cool. It was like a childhood dream of mine coming to reality, and that was a lot of fun too. But yeah, if you guys like this content, if you like seeing custom dual discs, and if you want to see more custom dual discs, please like and subscribe, and feel free to send me a message or leave a comment. Let me know what you guys want to see next. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.